and you will only find it in today's WSJ. A secret Syrian military unit known as Unit 450 has been moving stockpiles of chemical weapons to as many as 50 sites. Pentagon reporter Julian Barnes joins us from Washington. Great story, Julian.
Thanks, Sarah.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about what's going on? We didn't know this was happening. You have the secret military unit moving things around.
Yeah, that's right. So Unit 450 is a small group of very loyal Syrians that are part of the military, part of the secret research center. They're in charge of the chemical weapons. As the threat of military action grew, the U.S. saw them disperse the weapons. They're now at 24 major sites around Syria and up to 50 smaller sites, making it much harder for the U.S. to track.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, this is exactly what we want to hear as we're trying to come up with some agreement with Russia to try to remove all of these stockpiles from Syria. I mean, how much more difficult does this make it?
Well, you know, there is a debate because we don't know what we don't know. And so there are some officials who say, hey, look, we got a handle on most of it. There are others who say, you know, there's a good chunk of this. We don't know where it is. The bottom line is, regardless, this really complicates locating and ensuring that Syria gives up all its stocks.
It isn't just complicated if we're talking about, you know, in terms of coming up with this deal with Russia. It also complicates it if we're going to go in and have some kind of military strike.
That's right. It does. You know, the key question the Pentagon is wrestling with is, do you target Unit 450 itself? Some people say if you do a strike, you need to send a message by striking some of the leaders of this secret unit. Others say, hey, we want the chemical weapons to stay in the box. We need to not strike at this leader. So there's a target option that includes leaders of 450 and a target option that leaves them off the table.
And has the U.S. done anything to try to kind of infiltrate this group of people and kind of try to get inside?
You know, that's a top priority, obviously. These are really loyal. They're all Alawites. They're all members of the Assad family's tribe, the minority in Syria. And information has been sketchy. You know, the military looked hard at an option of whether they could co-opt this unit. And there's a lot of people who say, you know, we wouldn't be able to buy them off. They are just too loyal. But that option remains on the table.
And so when we're talking about, you know, stockpiles of chemical and biological weapons, I mean, can you just explain to us what we're talking about? How big are the quantities? What kind of poisonous? I mean, like, what are we talking about here?
Well, these are all estimates, so we got to remember that. But we're talking about 1,000 metric tons. That's only a fraction of what Russia possesses and Russia is currently destroying of their chemical weapons. On the other hand, 1,000 metric tons could kill thousands and thousands of people. This is sarin gas, which is what we're most nervous of, but they also have biological weapons as well.
So we have known for you know, a while that chemical weapons were scattered across these various sites in Syria. So I mean, what's the difference about what this group, you know, this kind of selective unit is doing with them?
So that's exactly right. We saw about a year ago reports that the gas was being moved. At one time, it was at, you know, a handful of sites, maybe 3, maybe a couple more sites in Syria, and it started moving a year ago. But what happened here is a much intense movement of trucks carrying this gas around as the U.S. Signaled it was going to strike. Now, maybe that was trying to move it to safer locations, maybe out of the range of strikes. That's what some U.S. officials believe. But it's also interesting to note that the movement stopped in the last week. As the threat of an immediate strike declined, Unit 450 stopped moving the chemical stocks around Syria.
All right, thanks so much. We always appreciate it, Julian.
Thanks, Sarah.